black and blue and watch your Super Bowl dreams till they all come true.
Temperatures right at freezing. Roethlisberger will wear 2 gloves, not because it's cold, but to help his grip with that bad thumb. And Carson Palmer, can he lead Cincinnati to a victory? It'll be the first Bengal winning season in 15 years. And the game will be brought to you in high definition by Sony. Heinz Field, some 64,000, as the Steelers and the Bengals battle for first place. This is the push toward the playoffs, not only to make the playoffs, but a possible win by either team may kick them toward a bye that first week. Steelers won the toss. The terrible towels are out. And Cincinnati will kick it off with Shane Graham, who's had trouble with the depth of his kickoffs. Ricardo Coakley and Quincy Morgan are the deep men for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Graham gets us underway. Low, end over end, and short. And on the run, it's Coakley. Hits to the sidelines, eludes a couple of tacklers, and is drilled at the 28-yard line. And out comes Ben Roethlisberger, the second-year quarterback. During the warm-up, he came out of one of the very first players constantly working the thumb. The injury is in the V between the thumb and the forefinger, and there is the splint that he's wearing under the gloves that will help him to get more grip on the ball. He said because of the sensitivity, the pain in that right thumb, he's not able to apply the pressure, thumb pressure, that he normally would, but the gloves will help. Hines Ward in motion. And he comes out throwing, wouldn't you know it? Antoine Randall L, nearly a first down. Up front in support of Roethlisberger. Better protection is key, obviously. 22-year-old rookie Trey Essex starts again at left tackle for the injured Marvin Smith. And Pittsburgh loves to run. We all know that. Speedy Willie Parker leads the Steelers with 717 yards rushing. But, of course, they have Deuce Staley and Jerome Bettis. They can throw 3 tough backs at the defense. Parker in there now. Second down and short, and Roethlisberger rolls and throws. Nothing wrong with the throw in motion there. He hits Randall L, and then he hits Hines Ward, and a first down at midfield. And the Cincinnati defense tested early. Justin Smith has led the Bengals defensive line in tackles 4 straight years. He's a Pro Bowl candidate. Rookie middle linebacker Odell Thurman leads with 100 tackles plus 4 interceptions. And the ball-hawking Bengal secondary has 17 interceptions, led by cornerback Delta O'Neal 7. Tied for the league lead. Here's a give to Parker. Can't get outside. A good tackle, knifing him down from Ifeanyi Ohalete, the safety.
And I think that is so smart of Ken Wisenhunt, the offensive coordinator of the Steelers, to come out and have Ben throw 2 passes to get this game started. 2 relatively simple patterns, not really putting a lot of air under the ball, but clearly you could see that there's velocity in his throws. He was able to put some pressure on with that thumb and control where the ball was going. A good sign for Pittsburgh.
2nd and 9, back to Parker. He runs into his own blocker and then is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. And we talked to Roethlisberger yesterday, and he said on Wednesday he couldn't throw the ball 20 yards, and then it improved by Friday to get it out there 40 yards. It hurts him to take a snap. He was very open about that. It hurts him to hand the ball off sometimes. And
it's so important that he's able to throw, because the history of this series is Bill Cowher's team stuffs the ball down Cincinnati's throat. Earlier this year in the game, they ran for 221 yards. They need Ben to throw a little bit just to loosen things up front.
Loss of a yard on the last play. It's 3rd and 10. Out of the shotgun, Roethlisberger under pressure, dumps it off, incomplete. And having to scamper a bit under pressure from Robert Gather is not the same kind of throw, and the drive will end right at the midfield stripe. Out comes veteran kicker Chris Gardocki, and deep on the return will be Kewan Ratliff. Gardocki with that long string, 1,090 career punts without a block, although he's had some partially blocked, as he did against Jacksonville here earlier this year. Bounces to Ratliff, and he's covered immediately at the 16 and fumbles the ball. They're marking it down. They're marking it down. This will not be a recovery. James Harrison picked it up and ran it in, but the official marked him down by contact. Ratliff flirting with early danger here in Pittsburgh. So we're underway in this battle for first place. Will it be the Steelers or the Bengals who prevail?
Welcome back to Pittsburgh, and if you're charting breaks, the first one might have gone Cincinnati's way, because this might very well be a fumble by Ratliff. He's hit by Kiesel, and that ball, you can see the ball is out before he hits the ground, but he's ruled down by contact. There's no review. The whistle blew. That's just the way it goes.
So Carson Palmer, who has had a brilliant 2005 season, #1 rated passer in the NFL, and he comes out throwing high, but well in the range of Chris Henry, who is emerging as a rookie out of West Virginia as a top receiver. Carson Palmer. And he, in his 3rd year, has emerged as a star, leads the NFL in completion percentage, nearly 70%, leads in touchdowns, 23. And they've gone more and more to this, the no huddle. And Palmer said, if I knew this would work so well, I wish we'd have tried it in training camp. But each week they add more and more. It's Rudy Johnson, and he plows across the 30 to the 31-yard line in the first down. Cincinnati up front. Levi Jones at left tackle has allowed only 1/2 of a sack all season, protecting Palmer's blind side. And the theatrical Chad Johnson, 2nd in the league in yards receiving, has 7 touchdowns.
Dick, the vast majority of this no huddle Cincinnati has run at home. Carson Palmer told us, I'm going to try it until it doesn't work. He admits the crowd noise is a problem, and you can hear this crowd at Hines chiming in.
Yeah, they're savvy. They know they can help out. Down the middle, and wide open is Chris Henry again. So they're going to Henry, and another first down. If the Bengals are able to run, they'll have to block Casey Hampton's 325 pounds at nose tackle. Clark Hagan, 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, same as Pro Bowler Joey Porter on the other side. And in a key matchup, Ike Taylor will be manned up against Chad Johnson. Taylor is also the #2 tackler for the Steelers on the season. Big hole for Rudy Johnson, and he's all the way to the Pittsburgh 38-yard line before Chris Hope at safety can bring him down.
And all the talk about this spectacular passing game of Cincinnati, what they can do that makes them a complete offense is pound the football between the tackles with Rudy Johnson. Look at that beautiful opening by Steinbach and Bram and Williams and Anderson and Jones. Outstanding line blocking.
And here's Palmer again with a no huddle. He sets up under center a la Peyton Manning. Then he pulls back, shouting out the plays. He'll use hand signals and verbally will communicate with his running backs. First down. Thrown away as well covered, triple covered. Chad Johnson surrounded by black and gold. Ike Taylor will be on him all day. That isn't Taylor, that's Hope. But 24 Taylor will go wherever Chad Johnson chooses to travel.
And conversely, Deshae Townsend will end up trailing T.J. Houshmandzadeh around the field today.
Marvin Lewis with a pair of 8-8 seasons, and then this year moving the Bengals, a very young team, to the top of the AFC North. The quick throw to the outside to Chris Henry again, and 3 catches for the rookie Henry, their number 3 draft pick in this opening drive. To Shea Townsend with a hit.
Dick, for those of us that have been around the National Football League for a long, long time, I find Marvin Lewis's success in Cincinnati to be one of the least surprising things I've ever seen. I think everyone had Marvin earmarked for a guy that when he got his shot, he was the real deal.
Started his coaching career here in Pittsburgh. There's that no-huddle offense, 34 snaps, big production. On third down, Palmer has to throw it away. Too tall for Chris Henry. And Palmer drilled as he unloaded Bryant McFadden, the rookie cornerback, coming in off the edge.
He did not see McFadden coming. Watch this, the top left of your screen. There comes McFadden, number 20. He's totally unblocked, and just at the last second, I think Carson, there, you can see right there, he caught a glimpse, tried to make the completion, and took the shot. I think the Steelers blitz off the edge better than any team in the NFL.
Listen to this crowd now as they see Cincinnati go for it. 4th and 4. 3 wides. Palmer. Incomplete. Broken up. A fine play by McFadden. The rookie back to back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by IBM. Become an on-demand business. IBM can help. A diamond is forever. What would you do for love this Christmas? And by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Welcome back to Heinz Field. Some of you may be wondering, well, why didn't Marvin Lewis go for the field goal there? It would have been about a 49, 50-yard field goal. That's respect to how tough it is here, especially in the direction Cincinnati was moving. No one has kicked a 50-yard field goal here at this new football palace. A reminder, you can visit CBS Sportsline tonight for a complete wrap-up, all the day's action. Watch a web-exclusive post-game show. Get in-depth analysis from NFL experts Clark Judge and Pete Prisco only on CBSSportsline.com. Gain of a yard, 2nd and 9. Dan Kreider, the fullback, in front of Willie Parker. It's Parker. Slithers through a hole to the 39, where it'll be 3rd and 3, and we go to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dick, at Indianapolis, the unbeaten Colts on the board first against Tennessee. Peyton Manning to Marvin Harrison, 7th straight season. Marvin Harrison with 10 or more touchdowns receiving. He's also over the 12,000-yard mark for his career. 7-0 Colts. Dick and Dan, back to you.
Yeah, Greg, what a surprise. Manning to Harrison.
Yeah, what a shock.
And Indianapolis cruising toward that possible unbeaten season, but some good roadblocks ahead for them. Deuce Staley in on 3rd and 3. Roethlisberger. Complete. It's Antoine Randall and a first down at midfield. No score here in Pittsburgh, but there's action elsewhere, Greg.
Dick, Buffalo down in Miami. The Bills named J.P. Lossman their starter for the rest of the season. He's on fire today. This is his 2nd touchdown pass to Lee Evans. The first one for 46 yards. This one 56 yards. 14-0 Bills, Dick and Dan.
All right, Greg, the Bills are only 4-7, as are the Dolphins, but New England, in the league that has produced the least number of victories, has only a 6-5 mark and precarious at best. Roethlisberger very quick and clever in the pocket, and he hits his tight end Jeremy Tooman, and a first down inside the Cincinnati 30-yard line. Now, whatever Roethlisberger did to warm up that thumb, he has come up with some very accurate throws.
And he moved really well in the pocket to buy himself a little extra time, but look how beautifully he dropped that right over the shoulder of Jeremy Tooman. See right here, senses a little rush coming from his right, buys himself another second, but that was a beautiful touch pass right over the shoulder, right onto the hands of Toomey.
Who's caught only 2 passes all year. That was for 26 yards. And it's Willie Parker for a couple into the arms of Brian Simmons.
Well, take a look at Ben Roethlisberger over the last couple of years, his importance to this team. Yeah, that's quite a difference. 18-2 when he's playing, 4-3 without him. They're forced to throw the ball more without Ben, and the fact of the matter is, while he does not throw it a lot, he's extremely efficient with the football.
And Bill Cowher has rolled out the bus. He sees his first appearance. Jerome Bettis now a tailback. Fake to Bettis. Roethlisberger again on the run. Hits Heath Miller, and the rookie tight end has it 1st and goal at the 5.
I don't think there's any question that so far in this game, the splint and the gloves are agreeing with Ben Roethlisberger. Another pinpoint pass to Heath Miller, and this rookie owns the middle of the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers offensively. What a luxury for a quarterback to have a tight end the caliber of Miller owning the middle of the field.
31 catches for Miller. That's more than all the tight ends for Pittsburgh last year. Now Bettis, and he's close to the goal line before Deltha O'Neal, giving away some 60 pounds, can knife in with a tackle. And the Steelers in the red zone, 5 touchdowns in the last 8 trips inside the 20-yard line. Bettis has scored 16 touchdowns in his career against the Bengals alone. That's his favorite team on which to score. 2nd and goal. Bettis. He's got another.
Bill Cowher called out his offensive line after that loss to Indianapolis Monday night, saying they played a terrible football game. I would say that they have responded to some of the criticism. You can't play offensive line much better than the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing here in the early stages of this ball game. As you can see, they erased everybody in a Bengals uniform as the bus just goes into the end zone in reverse.
Yeah, he was on idle and still made it into the end zone. And the extra point by Jeff Reed makes it 7-0. Roethlisberger 3 for 3 for 54 yards on the drive, and then you hand it off to Jerome Bettis. "68 yards in 8 plays. That was magic for Pittsburgh, and Jerome Bettis with his 85th career rushing touchdown. The number 5 runner in NFL history. Bettis out of Notre Dame 13 seasons ago.
And Dick, outstanding balance on that drive as well. Roethlisberger 3 for 3. A great mix-up of play calling.
Reed to kick it off to Tab Perry, and the rookie from UCLA will gather it in at the 12-yard line and slips and falls at the 25. Sean Morey there to ground him. Well, it's been a long time love affair, these Pittsburgh fans with their bus.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar. Eating good in the neighborhood. Applebee's. And by Circuit City. For the hottest new technology, think Circuit City. Just what I needed.
Welcome back. You know Shannon Sharp always has something to say. Tune in tomorrow. Get his reaction to the weekend's play. It's all on NFL.com or NFL on AOL. From the 26, Carson Palmer. Bushman's on him. In motion. Sets up on the right side. Deshae Townsend on him. Delay handoff to Rudy Johnson.
They got
Dropped for a loss.
Dick, they got flagged. It's going to be delay a game.
AC Hampton was there to.
There is no play, delay a game, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
And that's the risk of the no huddle if you have to change plays.
Now, a lot of times, look at the play clock on the left. You get a lot of times about a second grace period because the field judge has to look up and look at the clock. And sometimes you can get away with it with a second, but that time it was called smack on. And now first and long for the Bengals. And if you think the crowd was loud before, Carson, wait till you get a load of this.
And signals out to the wide receivers, then verbally gives the play. Jeremy Johnson, the fullback, who hands it off to his tailback. Throw is complete, and Chad Johnson has his first reception of the game and a first down out at the 40-yard line.
Again, it starts with great pass protection. The Steelers not able to get any pressure on Palmer at all. And he delivers the ball. It's a little backward. It's a little behind Chad. He can't take it in stride. But again, working against this Steelers zone, a good look at Carson Palmer. Just way too much time to find a receiver.
And that big line has done a great job of protecting Palmer and giving him that extra second or two to find the open man. Open again is Chad Johnson, and a first down at the Steeler 45 before Clark Higgins can make the tackle.
This offense of the Bengals, when it comes to passing, is a wide receiver offense. Again, we got Johnson working against Taylor, and in just a quick break to the inside, a timing pattern all the way. He makes this break, tough to defend.
Offside were the Steelers, but that declined, of course, on a 16-yard play.
But again, a perfectly timed throw from Carson Palmer. And the one thing about Houshmandzadeh and Chad Johnson that you got to love from a wide receiver standpoint, both of these guys, Dick, not afraid to go into the middle of the field and get a big hit after a catch.
And now complimented by Chris Henry, the rookie, as well, who has 3 catches already. Rudy Johnson. It's a starting lineup on offense. You say Johnson, you're right a third of the time. Jeremy Johnson, the fullback. Rudy Johnson, the tailback. Chad Johnson, the wide receiver. Carson Palmer with a very quick move, and he's going on top for Houshmandzadeh. He's got it for a touchdown. Oh my! Ricardo Coakley on the coverage, and Houshmandzadeh, who compliments Chad Johnson, they were teammates at Oregon State, has his 4th touchdown reception.
And seldom will you ever see a touchdown pass against better coverage than you saw right there. Coakley is all over TJ Houshmandzadeh. Talk about willing yourself to catch the football. Coakley's fingers right here come up about 2 inches short. Look at this. You got 4 hands there going for the football, and only Houshmandzadeh's came down with it. And what a tremendous piece of concentration by TJ Houshmandzadeh.
Shane Graham for the extra point to tie it up at 7-all. And what a beautiful throw in slow motion by Carson Palmer. Remindful Steeler fans of those tight spirals that Terry Bradshaw used to throw in those 4 Super Bowl years. It's tied at 7. And welcome back. And that testimony to the long ball power of the Cincinnati Bengals. 83 points on drives of 4 plays or less. Some of that factored in because Cincinnati also leads the NFL with a +20 turnover differential. They've had some short fields. Short kickoff again, and it's picked off by one of the big men up front, and it's Rhett Kiesel, defensive lineman, across the 25-yard line. Well, tonight, fans, CBS presents the powerful true story of one of the most admired men of our time, Pope John Paul II. Critics say it instills joy in human hearts. An epic television event filmed in his homeland and at the Vatican. Pope John Paul II tonight on CBS, America's #1 network. Carson Palmer now on the road this year, 12 touchdowns and 1 interception. At 7-all, Roethlisberger steps up away from pressure, now has to scramble, being caught, and is able to throw it away and save the sack. He is a big man, close to 250 pounds. David Pollack close to get him to the turf, but just could not twist him down.
Dick, let's go back and look at that touchdown pass. You can't double everybody. Here's a guy that's going to get doubled. Here's a double. But here's a single coverage with Houshmandzadeh, and it doesn't take Carson Palmer very long to find out they're doubled everywhere else. He's got the single coverage, and even though it's good coverage, he has such confidence in his receiver that he lets him and gives him an opportunity to make the play. And Houshmandzadeh did.
Willie Parker in the backfield, but it's the pass instead to Cedric Wilson. And Wilson, the 5-year receiver out of Tennessee, the fastest of Pittsburgh's wideouts, wrapped up after a short gain. Robert gathers the defensive end over there in a hurry to help out on the tackle.
Yeah, you don't expect the defensive end to be out there in the flat making a play on a short pass like that. Good look there at Chuck Bresnahan, the defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. A great football family. His dad, a longtime coach in the NFL with Buffalo for many years.
3rd and 9 with Deuce Staley in the backfield with Roethlisberger. Steps up, fires down the middle, complete. At the 41 is Hines Ward, the all-time Steeler receiver.
Boy, and when high was he open. Hines Ward was sitting all by himself back there in the Cincinnati secondary. Well, take a look at this. Good pass blocking. Ben's got all the time in the world to step up, and even though the ball looked like partially tipped, Ben had enough on it. Right there, it gets grazed just a bit, but it looks like Brian Simmons hit it, but just enough. It had enough mustard on it that it's able to go on through to Ward, but Ward left alone by the Bengals.
First down at the 41-yard line on a 31-yard play. Now it's Parker finding room outside. He has 10. He has 13 yards and another first down. And let's check on an NFL update with Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Dick, at Miami, J.P. Lossman has found a defense that he likes, and it belongs to Miami. For the 3rd time today, Lossman to Lee Evans for a touchdown and a 21-0 Bills lead. 2:14 to play in the first quarter, guys.
Not even out of the first quarter. J.P. Lossman with an emergence. Buffalo fans have been hungry for that. 21-0 early at Miami. Willie Parker stays in. First down at the 29. Yeah, there's the Tokyo call, and the throw is short. Not close, as he was being driven back, and every time Roethlisberger is hit, fans have their hearts in their throats, hoping that he comes up with a thumb that hasn't been re-injured. That was Landon Johnson applying the pressure on that.
Most quarterbacks lose velocity when they are being drilled in the chest and falling backwards as they're trying to throw. And that's what happened to Ben Roethlisberger right there. He had a blocker. The blocker just didn't do it.
Hurried 5 times, but he's been quick with his feet. He maneuvers well within the pocket and has eluded most of the pressure thus far. Parker. He says he'd rather run tackle to tackle than go outside, although his speed would seem to contradict that philosophy because he can really burn on the corners.
Well, and he showed right there he's not very willing to go down with the first hit. About 6 or 7 Cincinnati Bengals had a shot at Willie Parker, and he kept grinding away. Didn't get much in the way of yards, but he kept fighting.
4 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd and 6. 3 wides. Deuce Staley with Roethlisberger, and Antoine Randall makes it a triple right formation. And now they bring Hines Ward in motion to the other side, and then the throw over the middle to Quincy Morgan, and Morgan's in the end zone. Touchdown Steelers. Morgan's first touchdown catch as a Steeler.
How can you throw the ball any better than Ben Roethlisberger is throwing the football here in the first quarter of this football game? Out of the shotgun. Excellent protection, but look at the pass. This is a guy that's supposed to have a bad thumb. Now Quincy Morgan finishes it, breaking tackles, but a perfect strike from Roethlisberger.
Extra point from Jeff Reed. And the Steelers back in front 14-7. Quincy Morgan, 25-yard touchdown reception, and Ben Roethlisberger, bad thumb and all, 8 for 11 and a touchdown pass. Ben Roethlisberger, he said the quarterback has to be the rock. It's December. We're aiming for the playoffs, and the last thing I can do is take the option the medical people offered me, and that is to have this thing put in a cast and not be able to play the rest of the year. Tab Perry brings it back for Cincinnati, has a crease, and Perry across the 45 to the 48-yard line. Good field position for the Bengals near midfield. Coakley made the tackle, and we remind you tomorrow on the Late Show, Dave's welcoming Billy Crystal, and Tuesday, Madonna's on with Dave, all on CBS. No wonder he's smiling. What a guest list this week on America's #1 network. But he's always smiling, isn't he? So the Bengals burned on that pass play as Delta O'Neal beaten by Quincy Morgan. No huddle offense continues for Cincinnati. Tight end Reggie Kelly in motion. Quick throw to the outside to Chad Johnson, and Johnson bulldog down at the 49 of the Steelers, and that's how the opening quarter ends, with Pittsburgh leading 14-7.
Big battle in the AFC North.
Bettis, he's got another. On top for Houshmandzadeh. He's got it for a touchdown.
This should be fun.
You're watching the NFL on CBS, America's #1 network, and we go to the second quarter. Dick Enberg, Dan Deerdorf, Armin Katayan, Mike Wolf, our producer, and Bob Fishman back from that terrific Army-Navy game. Boy, it gives you chills just to see the opening of those games. In the director's chair, 14-7, Cincinnati ball at the 48 of the Steelers. 2nd and 5 for Palmer. Under pressure, steps away. Now throws over the middle, and it's caught by T.J. Houshmandzadeh again. And in traffic, he gets enough for a Cincinnati first down.
Boy, what a good job by Palmer of sensing Joey Porter coming in right behind him. Stepped up just at the last minute. Excellent awareness.
First down at the 42-yard line. Palmer, what a season. Almost 70% completions, best in the NFL. He now has 24 touchdowns, better than Peyton Manning and all the rest of the quarterback stars in the league. Now it's Rudy Johnson countering up the middle and down to the 33 for a gain of almost 9.
I mean, take a look at his accomplishments on the road. This is just extraordinary. 12 touchdown passes, only 1 interception on the road.
Now on 2nd and short, easily Rudy Johnson picks up the first down inside the 30 of the Steelers. Johnson, who played at Auburn, how many great running backs that university's produced. Grew up a big Cowboy fan, Emmitt Smith fan, Dick LeBeau. At age 68, the defensive coordinator, the genius of all that Blitzburg zone blitz tactics. And time's going to be called here by Pittsburgh. The bench did not like the defensive alignment Steelers had on the field. 14-7, Pittsburgh leads. Not only a comparison, but look how close the numbers. Carson Palmer, the #1 player picked 3 years ago out of Southern California. Ben Roethlisberger, #11 player picked 2 years ago from Miami of Ohio. Two, well, not just budding stars, they're proving their mettle at a very early age. Quick throw to the sidelines to Chad Johnson. It's ruled out of bounds. He was juggling as he fell off the field of play. Let's go down to Armin Katayan.
Well, Chad Johnson, good to his word. Before we went to commercial, Dick, he looked right at me, pointed to his eyes like that, meaning keep an eye on me. We'll see if we're going to get one of those Chad Johnson touchdown celebrations. Back to you.
Yeah, he told Arvid before the game, he said, well, it's a Steel City. We got to iron things out, so he's thrown out some hints.
Well, he started the week with a terrible towel in his locker in Cincinnati. You got to wonder if he's got one somewhere on him.
Yeah, iron that one out, huh? Rudy Johnson runs into his own blockers, and he'll have to suffer a loss outside the 30 as Clark Higgins and James Ferrier from that talented Steeler linebacking corps collaborate on the stop.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the king of this division. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the lead right now, but there's no question that the Pittsburgh Steelers think they own Cincinnati. And until Cincinnati is big enough, bad enough to step up and do it, the Steelers will continue to think that.
Chris Perry, the second-year runner from Michigan, is in the backfield now. Good receiver. Perry throws down the middle, and wide open is Chris Henry. 4 catches for the lanky 6'4" Chris Henry.
And again, take a look at the blitz, but the pickup is the key. Pittsburgh comes with the double blitz up the middle, Palomalu, but they are handled by this Cincinnati front wall, giving Palmer plenty of time and an opening to go downfield to Henry.
Henry with 4 catches and 46 yards for the rookie.
This entire defense of the Steelers is predicated on pressuring the quarterback, and so far they have not gotten to Palmer consistently.
First down inside the 15, and Palmer looks to the end zone, then throws underneath, complete, and hit immediately was Tony Stewart, the tight end from Penn State. He has his 2nd catch of the entire season. Joey Porter with the hit. Bengals inside the 20. And they've been productive, haven't they?
That's a percentage that every other team in the league can only dream about. 10 TDs and 12 trips.
Ball spotted at the 9 for Marv Lewis, who grew up in suburban Pittsburgh, played high school ball against Bill Cowher. Manzada in motion, give it to Rudy Johnson, drives close to the 5-yard line. That'll leave him about 2 shy of a first down.
Yeah, these franchises are really intertwined. Marvin Lewis, his first job in the National Football League, was on the staff of Bill Cowher here in Pittsburgh as linebackers coach. So there's, if you take a look in the press guide about all the connections between players and coaches, it takes about a page and a half.
Lewis and Cowher all the way to the high school days, and now across the field in this first place battle. 3rd and 2, back to Johnson, squeezes through a hole off tackle and drives to the 1-yard line where it'll be 1st and goal. And this front line of the Cincinnati Bengals not only can pass protect, they can open some running holes.
Well, let's get it in behind 71, Willie Anderson, and a good lead block there by Jeremy Johnson. But look at the power by Rudy Johnson, and look at Willie Anderson, number 71. Keep digging, and moving the pile forward.
Yeah, Mount Willie Anderson at 6'5" and 340, a Pro Bowler the last 2 years at right tackle. 4 shots for the Bengals from just outside the 1 to tie it. And Palmer will throw for it, and it's a touchdown to Kelly. Reggie Kelly's first touchdown of the season. No wonder he's happy. Only his 9th reception. Carson Palmer doesn't go to the tight end very often.
What a call by Bob Radkowski, the offensive coordinator, because Reggie Kelly is lined up in the backfield. That's how he gets lost. And then he's able to come across and take a look at that. That is a great call by Bob Radkowski, especially after that power run before by Rudy Johnson.
And now to tie it up again, it's Shane Graham. 14 all, and so far this one living up to all the advanced publicity. Carson Palmer takes him 53 yards and ties it up.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Garmin, we'll take you there. And by Miller. There's good enough and there's better than it has to be. Miller, good call.
And welcome back to Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, where the game early in the second quarter tied at 14. 53-yard drive set up by that 46-yard kickoff return by Tab Perry, and Palmer with his 2nd touchdown throw.
How about the quality of the quarterbacking we've seen so far in this game between these two?
Two teams figuring the cold weather defensive battle, but it's been wide open as Quincy Morgan, who has a touchdown on a reception, takes the kickoff and carries it out across the 35-yard line. Ben Roethlisberger, with all the question marks about that thumb, has stepped up big time. Reminder, after the second game of our doubleheader tonight on 60 Minutes, Howard Stern talks with Ed Bradley. You'll be surprised at what you hear. Then it's Cold Case. And then John Voight stars in the powerful true story of Pope John Paul II tonight on CBS, America's #1 network. Howard Stern and the Pope in the same sentence. I didn't think I'd live so long. And into the backfield, Jonathan Fanene, the rookie from Utah, to make a big play on Parker. Loss of 4 on the play. Sober some of the Steeler faithful. Ward and Randall L to the right of the formation with Kreider and Parker behind Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger scampering out of the pocket, has to throw this one away. And oops, as he got hit there, he comes back holding his right hand. Jonathan Fanene again was applying the pressure for Cincinnati.
Well, the day started with so many questions around that thumb. Been out here during warm-ups flexing that thing around, and here as he goes down, he's got to break his fall by throwing his right arm and right hand to the ground. That's an instinctive move, and you can tell that hurt. You can tell that really hurt Ben Roethlisberger. There's no way you cannot throw your hand out there. I think that's an instinct that's uncontrollable.
What a brave effort by this 23-year-old. Third down and long. Pumps and wants to go deep, and that one's almost and is intercepted by Brian Simmons. And Simmons on the return down the sidelines. Flags are down, and finally Simmons wrapped up at the 27-yard line with the 24th interception of the season for the Bengals, far and away the lead in the NFL.
Well, I'm not sure that after Ben hurting his hand like that I would have come right back attempting a long pass down the field. And the mistake by Ben was throwing into coverage. He threw into coverage. There's a double cover on his receiver. And Simmons did a good job of staying with the football that got batted around.
Yeah, linebacker, he had drifted back almost 30 yards. It's his second interception. And they're discussing the penalty on the return of the interception.
Interception on the play. We also have a low block, number 82 of Pittsburgh. We will add 15 yards to the end of the run. First down.
Yeah, I realize it was 3rd and 14, and you got to try to get the ball downfield. But clearly Ben Roethlisberger, after hurting his hand before, this though is just into coverage. And what a job by Simmons of floating all the way back underneath. He took away the underneath lane, and the ball hangs up in the air. You could see wobbling like a duck, and Simmons just able to float back there and stay with it. But that throw from Big Ben had absolutely nothing on it.
And then Antoine Randall Ellen trying to take out some of the blockers on the Simmons return, hit with a 15-yard penalty for the low block, and that'll go both for the return team and the tackling team, and we're seeing that called more and more. So the turnover, and that has been part of the Bengal game all season long, leading the NFL. And they give to Rudy Johnson, and he's finding room off that right side following the big tackle, Willie Anderson.
Well, Big Ben, as you see him warming up again, this is the play right before the interception. As he's knocked to the ground, he threw that right hand out there to break his fall, and that is an owie. That really hurt. And then the very next play, he attempts to go downfield with the ball, and it wobbled initially right out of his hand.
He said you'll see some tail wobbles. I've noticed that. He said in trying to throw, can't quite put the full pressure on the ball. Palmer down the middle, and oh my, wide open was Houshmandzadeh, and no Steeler near him, and he couldn't pull it in on the low throw from Palmer. Palmer mad at himself,
and Houshmandzadeh hurt himself on that as well, trying to come back for that. He heads to the Cincinnati bench, wide open, and he landed on his elbow, and he really he took off and headed for the Cincinnati sideline.
Well, he has a bad right hand. Remember, as we tried to shake hands with him last night, said for 9 weeks it's been hurting him. He thinks that there might be something seriously wrong with that right hand. He's wearing just a glove today. Pittsburgh escapes what appeared to be a short touchdown. The throw underneath is to Kelly again, and the tight end, mostly used as a blocker all seen, run out of bounds by James Ferrier.
Houshmandzadeh is clearly in distress. Here's Ben on the Pittsburgh sideline trying to warm up. Again, he throws and goes down and hits that thumb with his left hand to try to rub it a little bit.
The injury again, and they haven't said it's a fracture, but certainly there's speculation that it might be, is in the V between the thumb and the index finger. First down for the Bengals outside the 10. Johnson again running left this time behind Levi Jones, and Chris Hope and James Ferrier make the stop. Armin, what do you have for us?
Well, guys, just watching Ben very closely down here. He wasn't even able to catch the ball with his right hand. It was coming back to him to throw it. He had taken, as we know, some pain medication for that thumb, but obviously, Dan, as you noted, there's a lot of pain there.
Well, and he threw the ball so well. Certainly no factor at all in the first quarter of this game, and no factor whatsoever until that play where he had to catch himself.
Approaching the 7-minute mark, second quarter, Bengals look for the lead. The throw to the end zone, incomplete for the tight end Matt Schobel. Schobel, of the 3 tight ends used by Marvin Lewis, has the most catches, 11 coming in. Familiar name, you Buffalo fans. Aaron Schobel, his brother, a defensive end for the Bills in his 5th year.
And again, that time Pittsburgh came with a blitz up the middle, and Cincinnati did a very effective job. You see Marvin Lewis, he wants to take a timeout.
And Cincinnati will spend their first timeout of this opening half, driving toward the lead. The Bengals in a 14-14 tie.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot. You can do it. We can help. And by Subway Restaurants. Try the fresh toasted chicken and bacon ranch sandwich. Subway. Eat fresh.
And welcome back. Well, enter that bus at your own risk.
We got some fine hats going on here at Pittsburgh. And the faithful will be in full throat here.
Yeah, 1-yard touchdown for Bettis earlier. It's 14-all, 3rd down and 5. Cincinnati, after the interception by Simmons, trying to capitalize. And here comes the blitz. Palmer, using that no huddle, changes the play. Here they come. Into the end zone, touchdown. He goes to Houshmandzadeh, who just came back in after the injury in the end zone when Palmer missed him wide open. And Houshmandzadeh has a couple of scores in this opening half.
But this is a protection touchdown, because I am so impressed with Cincinnati. Inside receiver is Houshmandzadeh, but they identified the Pittsburgh blitz. You saw before the snap. Take a look to the right side of your screen. The overload that side. Everybody picked up. Carson Palmer has all the time in the world, but you saw them 6 or 7 seconds before the snap, taking the time to identify the overload, and they picked it up. Excellent football.
21-14 on the extra point by Graham, and Bill Cowher knew that going in. Cincinnati, when they turn it over, they score 122 points this year. Welcome back. Ben Roethlisberger with one of the physicians for the Steelers with him throughout. And there's 2 of them actually, and they're going to examine the hand and give him some evaluation on every trip to the sidelines. And Houshmandzadeh, he's saying, throw it to me long, throw it to me short.
Well, he had to leave, Dick, and a pretty timely return. That was his first play back in.
6 yards officially on the touchdown from Palmer, who has 3 touchdown throws in this opening half, and Quincy Morgan has to backpedal into the end zone and take the touchback. Now, this is part of their winning success for the Bengals this year. Look at the turnover differential. Now 21, by far and away the best in the league. 34 takeaways, the most. Interceptions, most. Points off turnovers. Look at the production, 122 points just off turnovers.
Well, that's why they're 8-3. Opportunistic, and when you have a turnover differential in the 20s, that's an extraordinary number. Hard to do.
Roethlisberger is back under center. He said even the snaps here give him pain. Bettis is with him. The throw to the sideline is caught. Tough catch for Hines Ward, but doesn't he make a living doing just that?
Well, that's the way that Ben started the game during the pregame. Again, he's, flexing that thumb, but he starts off throwing the ball all over the place, and that's to Quincy Morgan, who shreds the Cincinnati defense. Here's where he hurt himself, and this was the last series. And right after falling, he threw this interception to Brian Simmons. Just a bad throw and a bad choice, but a good pass right there to Hines Ward on the last play.
Good for 7, 2nd and 3. It's Bettis. They'll try to grind it out as the Steelers were so effective in their match at Cincinnati when they rolled out to a 27-6 lead until Chad Johnson scored very, very late in the game.
Well, they pounded Cincinnati for 221, Dick, but some question marks because the last couple of weeks Pittsburgh has struggled to run the ball. They only ran for 70 yards against Baltimore, 86 Monday night against Indianapolis. It's so unusual to see Pittsburgh less than 125 yards a game rushing.
Yeah, it's been run under the Cowher regime more than any team in the NFL. Back to Bettis, short yardage on first down. Only a yard, maybe 2. Brian Simmons, the dean of the Cincinnati defense in his 8th year out of North Carolina, made the stop. Yeah, Marvin Lewis, talking to him yesterday, he said it 3 or 4 times. I have a young team, Simmons not being one. I'm waiting for them to mature. They're moving slowly, but I'm pleased with the results.
He sounds like a father when you talk to him, doesn't he?
He sure does. And in many ways, isn't that what the head coach is of these grown men? Back to Bettis. And he's to the 35, where it will be 3rd and 5. Thornton and Shawn, the 2 defensive tackles, make the stop for the Bengals.
Yeah, especially, Dick, I think he was talking about his defensive team with, people like Odell Thurman at middle linebacker and people like that, because Marvin Lewis, when he was at Baltimore, had such an old, experienced, grizzled defense led by Ray Lewis and people like that. And it's so different here. These kids are they're glad to be here. They're just having fun.
Yeah, Thurman was their number 2 draft pick. David Pollock, their first pick, both out of Georgia. Both have played a lot of linebacker this year. There's Thurman as Roethlisberger throws as he's hit, and Hines Ward makes the catch, but more importantly, back on his backside is Roethlisberger as Odell Thurman hit him late, and the flag is down.
Well, it's hitting him low. He hit him right in the knees. Okay, take a look at the right. There comes Thurman, 51. Now he's untouched.
Number 51 of the defense. That's roughing the passer. He had an unmolested shot at the quarterback and hit him in the knees. Add 15 yards to the end of the run. First down.
Well, Bernie Kukar called that exactly right. And you saw the right knee of Ben Roethlisberger get caught awkwardly and buckled underneath. Roethlisberger missed a game because he got his left knee hyperextended against San Diego. He then missed 3 games because his right knee was injured. He had arthroscopic surgery. His first game back was just Monday night. How many more things can go wrong for Ben? Bad thumb, bad knees, and look at him. Still under center.
And a remarkable throw to get it to Ward under that pressure. 18-yard pass plus the 15-yard penalty gives the Steelers the ball at the 32. And the handoff to Hines Ward on the reverse. And the wide receiver down to the fumble the ball at the 24. Cincinnati says they have it. No official word. Yes, the Bengals. Another takeaway. Kevin Casefaharn, the safety man, fell on the ball, and the Bengals have 2 takeaways in this opening half. And a good gain by Ward ends on a big hit, and he coughs it up, and he doesn't do that often.
And Hines Ward coming off the field, limping a little awkwardly. Yes, the ball's clearly out. You can see Hines is still standing up. He turned backwards to try to fight for more yardage, and the ball gets stripped.
Torrey James and Robert Gathers were both there.
Yep, the ball is free. And again, this opportunistic Bengal defense gashed for yards, but still somehow comes away with the ball.
Bill Cowher in some disbelief here. The Bengals, though, that's been their entire season pattern, taking it away. And they try the reverse to Houshmandzadeh, and he vaults his way to the 32-yard line in a gain of 7.
Houshmandzadeh is a very effective runner in the open field. We talked to him about it, and he said, I guess it's because I used to return kickoffs. I'm very comfortable being in the open field with the ball under my arm. This is not a receiver that goes to ground.
That quick huddle, and Palmer, long pass incomplete to Chad Johnson, and no flag. Ike Taylor doing an excellent job of covering on the play.
And that's a ball that Carson Palmer threw so far. Neither one of these guys realistically had a chance at coming anywhere near this football. It was still another 4 or 5 yards downfield. They're both playing it. But Chad Johnson did get his left arm around and kind of snag the left arm of Ike Taylor and pull him down. That could have been offensive interference.
Chris Perry, who has 46 catches, the halfback, comes in for Rudy Johnson. And he's into the pattern. The throw, batted down at the line of scrimmage, and Perry was wide open. Darren Smith, the Pro Bowler a year ago out of Northern Colorado.
What a break for the Steelers, because again they come on the blitz. Again Cincinnati picks it up, and Aaron Smith saved a big play.
And Perry kept right on running about 40 yards as if to say, I think I could have gotten this far downfield had that ball gotten to me. Antoine Randall, the only AFC returner with a punt return touchdown this season. That was against Jacksonville. And the punt by Kyle Larson. Good hit inside the 20. Randall flags down. And so is Randall all the way back to the 13, 12-yard line. Tab Perry, who is the return man for the Bengals, down on the coverage. Bernie Kukar, collegian at St. John's in New York. One of the top referees, hearing all sides of this penalty story. 22nd year in the league as the referee, and Lewis and Cowher say, come on, what's the call? Obviously the Steelers on the return have moved all the way to the end zone, so they feel it's against them. Still no signal. Fans becoming impatient, understandably. Yeah, well, apparently they're going to move the ball back the other end. Tomorrow begins with TV's best lineup of comedies on CBS. King of Queens, How I Met Your Mother, 2.5 Men, Out of Practice, followed by Monday's #1 show, CSI Miami, and then The Late Show with Dave. Tomorrow on CBS, America's #1 network.
A penalty on both teams, and I believe we're going to kick it off again.
And so that becomes a break for the Steelers. Antoine Randall, ever dangerous. Instead of the ball being down inside the 10-yard line with the Steelers in possession, they get another shot at a return as the penalties negated one another.
A good break there for the Steelers.
Once again, kick by Kyle Larson, who played his college ball at Nebraska. This one's a short kick, not nearly as good. Randall lets it bounce out of bounds at the 30. That's about a 20-yard gain, almost a 20-yard gain for the Steelers. So Big Ben banged up several times this year. The Chargers, Louis Castillo with that ugly hit back in week 5, and then the Ravens got to him a couple of times in week 8, causing him to miss 3 weeks. Another knee injury, and now the painful injury to his right thumb, aggravated here in the first half. But Gamely staying with it. At the 31-yard line, approaching the 2-minute timeout here in the first half. Jerome Bettis can't buy much. Half the Bengal team there to welcome him. Thornton and Smith, the 2 tackles, starting the charge. 21-14. A couple of turnovers, key to the game. And Cincinnati taking it away on an interception and a fumble, denying Hines Ward, who was driving deep into Cincinnati territory at the Bengal 25. Roethlisberger airs it out deep for Ward, and he outfights the Bengals. No, it's Cedric Wilson, the 5'10" speedster. The ball was up there, 3 Bengals and Wilson won the draw.
And somehow Torrey James, number 20, he can't believe he didn't come away with the football. He's all over it. He sees it. He makes a play on it, but he can't get it. Wilson out-jumps him for the ball.
Two-minute warning, and we remind you of the Sprint halftime report. Greg, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, all the latest early NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Sprint halftime report. Stay with us at halftime. Stay with us. Most of you will see Denver, Kansas City in game 2 of our CBS doubleheader. First down. Steelers at the Cincinnati 27, trailing 21-14. Roethlisberger underneath, complete to Bettis, and Bettis to the 20-yard line, a gain of 7.
Good check down. Good check down by Ben. Looking downfield and found the bus underneath. Good job of going through your reads.
Both teams stand with a pair of timeouts to use. Clock ticks down to 1:35. Roethlisberger, with that painfully bad right thumb, has thrown for 205 yards in this opening half.
I would not have bet on that, watching him warm up.
Back to the air. It's Bettis on the screen. 20, 15, and down at the 12. First down. Landon Johnson, another tackle.
And good work by Alan Faneca out front. Yeah, this is how you go to Pro Bowls year after year. Big number 66. And how comforting for Jerome to find out he's got Alan Faneca out in front of him. That's it. Tuck in on the hip, and let's just follow the big guy downfield.
50 seconds left in the half. Bettis to the 10. And the Steelers will spend one of those 2 remaining timeouts. Sean Smith with the last tackle. And the Steelers tie it up before the intermission. Heinz Field capacity 64,450 on this gray, cold day. Temperature right around freezing.
It might be gray and it might be cold, Dick, but it's perfect.
It is indeed. I couldn't agree more. I know you love it. Colder the better.
Hey, it's December.
It's got to be, and it's Pittsburgh, and it's 21-14. Bengals leading. The Steelers with the ball at the 10. Willie Parker back in at running back. Hines Ward in motion. Roethlisberger to Ward, can't hang on. At the 2-yard line, twisting to reach for the ball, Delta O'Neal and Kevin Casevaharn making it tough on Hines.
Boy, you could see the frustration on Hines' face when he got up right there. Look at him, he's coming right in, breaking off. He's wide open, and boy, Ben again delivers a nice pass right into the chest of Hines Ward. A rarity that he doesn't handle that.
That is unusual for Hines Ward, who has passed John Stallworth as the all-time Steeler receiver in their great history. 3rd and 8, spread formation. Roethlisberger, plenty of time. Now he throws underneath. It's to Deuce Staley, and Staley fighting the whole crowd of Bengals and can't get the first down. Stopped at the 5. Clock ticks to 27, 26 seconds.
Good job by the backfield of the Bengals. They took away all of Ben's receivers who were in the end zone. Obviously, he wanted to get into the end zone for 6. He had no choice but to dump it short.
Here's the Steelers. We'll let it run down to a couple of seconds and then bring out the field goal unit. And there's the whistle. Clock stopped with 2 seconds left. Last time out for the Steelers, and out comes Jeff Reed and the field goal unit. Now we know that Bill Cowher has a little gambling blood in him. We saw that on Monday night at Indianapolis with the onside kick to open the second half. So it's an apparent field goal attempt.
Well, I think maybe you gamble if the game is in progress, where, you know, if you don't make it, at least you're forcing the other team to go 95 yards for a score. On the last play of the first half, to risk a guaranteed 3 points, that'd be gambling with a capital G.
That chin would jut out. Well, we saw Dick Vermeil gamble and 1 yard line last play of the game and ran it in against the Oakland Raiders this year. Maybe there's something happened to these coaches.
I think you take your 3 points, you make it 21-17, and you gallop into the locker.
And here is the apparent attempt. With Skardaki, the holder, the punter. Reed, who has kicked 31 consecutive field goals from inside the 40, 31 in a row, and now make it 32. And they take the 3 and they head for the warmth of the locker room. Outstanding first half, and the turnover is the key to Cincinnati's 21-17 lead. Armin?
Coach, you told your team they got to be willing to go into the big dog's backyard and get into a fight. So far, they've really responded.
Yeah, we got to play a lot better on third down on defense, make some plays. Offensively, keep taking care of the football, and we'll be fine.
All right, Coach. Thank you, Dick.
All right, Marvin Lewis, who has done such a superb job in his 3rd year, has his team 1 win away from the first winning season in Cincinnati in 15 years. That's the half. Stay tuned for the Sprint halftime report on America's #1 network. Much to peruse in the halftime statistics, and I'll just start with the top line, Dan. The fact that Pittsburgh outrushed by Cincinnati.
And only 44 yards for the Steelers, but look at the passing yardage. Look what Ben Roethlisberger was able to do. Pittsburgh on their way to over 500 yards in total offense if they have a second half comparable to the first, but yet the 2 turnovers a problem. And you know that Bill Cowher talked to his team about that. But again, Cincinnati, we talked early in this thing, Dick, about hopping the fence and coming into the big dog's backyard. Marvin Lewis has to be really pleased they're leading at half.
Well, he's talking about this team maturing, and as you've hinted at this, adolescence is one thing. If you really want to think about playoffs and be the big dog, you've got to knock off the team that everyone's trying to beat, and that, of course, is the Steelers.
You have to start in your own division, and that's exactly what Cincinnati. And again, this game is so big for Cincinnati. It's so big for both of these teams. Right. Cincinnati would have a commanding lead, a 2-game lead. Pittsburgh, if they could win, they'll be tied, but because they'll have beaten Cincinnati twice, they'll have that huge tiebreaker. So much at stake for both of these teams. That's why this is such a fun game to watch.
And the production, 21-17 in that first half. We were chatting at the intermission. You know, that half was as good as a lot of whole games.
Yes, sir.
And Hines Ward, how often will he drop a ball that's right in his chest? That would have been a touchdown to tie it at the end of the first half. Well, Cincinnati will get the first chance here in the second half. Tab Perry. Atypical build for a kick returner. He's 6'3", 215. Rookie UCLA. As Jeff Reed has it teed up. And on this cold, low 30-degree gray day in Pittsburgh, we're underway in the second half. Reed's kick spins down to the 13. The long-legged Perry finds another crease. 35 puts on the skids at the 37, and Ricardo Coakley applies the finish. Carson Palmer, what a first half.
Yeah, I would say so, Dick. Not too bad for the NFL's leading passer. The starts it off. Take a look at this long ball downfield. Tremendous effort by T.J. Houshmandzadeh, out fighting the defense for the ball. Then a short little zipper across the middle to Reggie Kelly. And then T.J. gets his second touchdown of the day. And it has been quite a show by Carson Palmer. The kid, big stat, look to the right. No interception.
And 3 touchdown passes. The quick throw is complete to the outside to Chad Johnson, and that's close to a first down. Armin?
Well, talking to Bill Cowher, not crazy, Dan, as you said about the turnovers. More concerned about third down, not being able to convert and not being able to get Cincinnati off the field. As for Ben Roethlisberger, he looked at me, he smiled, he goes, he's doing fine, isn't he? I said, yes, he is. Back to you, Dick.
Yeah, thank you, Armin. And Chad Johnson limping as he moved into position, and the flag flies. And
well, Chad, when he caught that pass, Dick, he was going out of bounds, and you could see him start to relax. He thought the play was over, and he gets tackled from behind right at the sideline. He gets hit by Clark Higgins, and look at that. One of his ankles, it looks like it's caught underneath.
And he's limping off the field.
Yeah, it's Chad.
Offside, the nose tackle of the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Results in a first down.
Chad almost looked like he wasn't expecting that hit, like he was just, scooting out of bounds, and the play was over.
Casey Hampton with the offside on the play gives Cincinnati a first down at the 49, and all eyes on that Bengal bench on their brilliant wide receiver Chad Johnson. Here's that no huddle, and Peyton Manning and the Colts have really started something. Tom Brady uses it. Now Carson Palmer with that no huddle. Quick throw, wide open Houshmandzadeh. First down at the 35-yard line, and T.J. Houshmandzadeh from Oregon State. What a 7th-round steal he was.
Well, and because he's such a complete receiver, Dick, the guy is just, he's not afraid to go in the middle. He's not afraid to go deep. He fights for every football that's anywhere near him. There's a lot to like about T.J. Houshmandzadeh.
14 on that play. Now it's Rudy Johnson's turn, and he runs right into the pile. Rejected after maybe a yard gain. Darren Smith led the charge. Just going back to Carson Palmer, we mentioned at the start of our telecast to show you how effective he's been in the last 14 games. 13 times his rating has been 100 or better. The only time it wasn't was that game against Pittsburgh.
Yes.
But today, well over 100 that first half. Plenty of time, 8 seconds, 7 seconds on the play clock. And it's Johnson off left tackle, fighting to the 29-yard line where it'll be 3rd and 4. Highest rating in road games. Look at the company Palmer's in.
And those two guys with the higher rating, very veteran quarterbacks when they spun in those numbers. Keep in mind, this is Carson Palmer's 3rd year, and he didn't take a single snap his rookie year. So in reality, only his 2nd year playing in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a good point. And he admitted he wouldn't have helped the team his first year. Yeah. You don't hear young guys who have an ego be so candid. Now Johnson on 3rd down, running right through the Steeler defense to the 16-yard line before Joey Porter and Chris Hope can make the tackle.
Well, one of the things that Marvin Lewis has quietly crafted here in Cincinnati is a pretty strong offensive line. And there's a good look at that unit. Levi Jones, Steinbach, Bram, Williams. That is just, wow, that's good blocking. Willie Anderson, of course, the leader at right tackle, but that time right over Steinbach, Bram, and Jones on the left side. Good work.
Look who's back in, Dan. Out wide to the left, Chad Johnson. Meanwhile, Rudy Johnson with 72 yards rushing. Palmer, plenty of time. And throws it away. Good coverage downfield as the Steelers had all the white jerseys covered. Back to Rudy Johnson and his good blocking and hard running. 72 yards. The Steelers had the longest defensive run in the league, 24 straight games without allowing a 100-yard rusher until Monday night, Edgerrin James. And here's Rudy Johnson trying to get 100 too.
Yeah, and Edgerrin James ran for over 100 Monday night, but keep in mind the Steelers played a lot of nickel in that game against the passing game of Indianapolis.
2 out of 2 in the red zone today. 2 touchdowns and 2 trips. 2nd and 10. Screen it. Johnson caught from behind and tackled at the 12-yard line. Travis Kershke trailing the play.
Oh, what a shame there. The Bengals had 2 blockers out in front, and they both ran right by Deshae Townsend and let him go.
He slowed up Johnson, and then number 90 Kershke finished the job. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Power sends in big Casey Hampton to plug up the middle. Chris Perry in for Rudy Johnson, the better pass receiver. 5 for 7 on 3rd down, the Bengals so far. Into the flat. Perry wide open, and the ball fell short again. I don't know if it was deflected, but Perry, that's twice. No one has covered him coming out of the backfield, but the pass didn't get to him.
Well, Chris Perry's got to be wondering, did I do something wrong? Let's take a look at it. Does Kiesel get it? Yes, sir. He most certainly does. That is another good job by Brett Kiesel of getting up, and look how he disrupts the pattern, the flight of that football. And Chris Perry, he might have scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been a 1st down for certain. Graham to try a 30-yard field goal, and he hits it down the middle. The Bengals start the 2nd half with a 3-pointer and extend their lead to 7. Welcome back to Pittsburgh, TV's #1 comedy, TV's #1 reality show, TV's #1 news magazine, the #1 network for the NFL, and the #1 show on television. That's CBS, America's #1 network. Happy holidays to all of you from Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Confluence of the 3 rivers, and the kick comes down to Quincy Morgan. He's had some good returns. He's out to the 30. He's out to the 40, and the kicker has to bring him down. Shane Graham at the 42-yard line. 35 yards on the return. Pittsburgh. And a happy Marvin Lewis when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Dell. It's much more than technology. It's a Dell. FedEx. For more football fun, go to FedExFootball.com. And by the all-new Civic from Honda. It'll reverse your thinking.
Downtown Pittsburgh in the near distance as we return to action. 24-17, Cincinnati leads it. Let's see what the thinking of Bill Cowher is at halftime, with only 44 yards rushing in the 1st half. And Roethlisberger's arm, the key to their offense. And he play action off the bat and throws underneath, complete. Hines Ward. That was a pretty good guess, wasn't it? Knowing Ward's competitiveness and dropping the ball at the end of the 1st half, he must have said, get me the ball early.
And very effective ball work here by Ben Roethlisberger. Take a look at that selling of the play action. But again, look at the quality of the throw. Just a simple out pattern here by Hines Ward against Torrey James, but a really, really good throw from Ben. So again, fighting through an injured knee and the bad thumb.
1st down play to Willie Parker, and he's got some running room and gains about 8 on 1st down. And we go back to New York and Greg Gumbel for this update.
Hey, Dick, in Indianapolis, guess who's thrown a touchdown pass? Peyton Manning, 27 yards out for Reggie Wayne. 36th time in his career. Manning has thrown for 3 or more TDs in a game. 21-3 Colts, 5.5 to play in the 3rd.
21-3, and you talk about most valuable player, and of course Manning having another great year. But how about Carson Palmer of the Cincinnati Bengals? Doesn't he deserve some consideration? Here's Parker again, splitting the tackle, and the tight end blocks him down to the 20-yard line, and another 1st down. Now they're running, and now those terrible towels are out.
Well, again, this Pittsburgh offensive line had to take a verbal browbeating this week from their head coach, and they have responded pretty well. This is, again, just look at that crease between right guard and right tackle for Willie Parker, but look at the fight Look at the fight after contact. Willie Parker gets a good 5 yards after a pretty solid hit by Cincinnati. That's tremendous effort.
Averaging 4.6 today, 46 yards in 10 carries. And now Roethlisberger to the end zone. Touchdown! Hines Ward sliding and scooping the score.
How did Ben Roethlisberger get that ball in there? What kind of a throw is this from Ben? Ward came in motion across the formation again, working on Torrey James. Look at that throw from Ben Roethlisberger. Bad thumb. Get out of here.
Who gave us the icky shuffle down there? Hines Ward, what a player. His 8th touchdown catch of the year to lead the Steelers. Reed ties it up, 24-all. Remindful of the glory days in the 80s and 90s. The icky shuffle a la Hines Ward of Pittsburgh. As the towels in Pittsburgh wave in the background, the Bengals unite and come back on the field tied at 24. Hines Ward, 8 touchdown catches this year, 6 receptions on the day, and 104 yards for Ward, the 4-time Pro Bowler. The rookie Tab Perry ready to return again. He's had a couple of excellent kickoff returns. Jeff Reed plants the right foot into a low end over end. Perry from the 4. And again he finds an opening. 40, 50, down the sidelines. 40, caught by the back arm, and finally Russell forward at the 4-yard line. Ike Taylor saved the touchdown, but it took him 25 yards to ride Tab Perry to the turf. Oh my, what a game. You like wide open? Well, tuned into the right spot.
We have seen some poor kick coverage by both teams, but this effort by Perry on the sidelines, because there's a moment here where it looks like he's going out of bounds, and Pittsburgh acted like he was going out of bounds. You could see Ike Taylor actually eased up because he thought Perry was going out of bounds, and then Taylor can't bring him down. First contact right there. There's 10 yards, there's 15 yards, and they went another 5 or 6.
93 yards, and Tab Perry's longest return. Give it to Rudy Johnson, forging in behind those big linemen and trying to get an extra push. And Polamalu, and one of the big Bengal blockers, a little extracurricular.
Marvin Lewis told us a story about the first Pittsburgh game, when one of the Pittsburgh running backs was stood up at the goal line and their offensive lineman pushed him into the end zone. And Marvin said, you know what? Our team grew up a little bit that day because they saw what a champion does in terms of extra effort. Well, how about what we just saw right there? Is that a lesson learned or not?
Well, they're good students, these young Bengals, aren't they? 2nd and goal. Inside the 1. Rudy Johnson. He's in the end zone for the touchdown. Johnson has the first rushing score of the day for Cincinnati. He's over the 1,000-yard mark on the season, and that's his 8th touchdown rush.
And right now, there got to be a lot of guys in Steeler uniforms thinking to themselves, are these the Bengals? Because these aren't the Bengals that we're used to playing. We own this franchise. We own this franchise as much as Mike Brown owns this franchise. And yet right now, Bill Cowher's team is finding themselves in a real fight for ownership of this division.
These two teams with quick answers to their opponents' scores. Graham adds the extra point. 31-24. You come to Pittsburgh in December. It's cold. It snowed last night. You expect that defensive struggle, don't you? You bet. 31-24.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Acura MDX with electronic 4-wheel drive, and by McDonald's.
For the moment, this partisan Steeler crowd Enthusiasm is tempered as Marvin Lewis's Bengals have just said, you can do one thing, I can do it better. 31-24 now is the Bengal lead. Shootout at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, and now it's the Steelers' turn. Coakley with a return. He finds a crease and is out across the 35-yard line. The first half of our doubleheader here on CBS, and this has been a terrific start as these two teams battle for the lead in the AFC North. And then we go out to Kansas City for most of you, the first place Broncos and the 7-4 Chiefs, and some of you will see the Jets at New England. So stay tuned. Big day of football on CBS. Bengals leading the North by 1 over the Steelers, but lost to Pittsburgh earlier in the year 27-13. If Cincinnati wins, they have the 2-game lead with an easy schedule ahead. Roethlisberger guns and hits. It's Ward again, and Hines Ward with his 6th catch, well over 100 yards. First down at the 43. So Cincinnati with a 1-game lead. Should they win, a 2-game advantage and pretty much a coaster ride coming home to the playoffs. So Pittsburgh, if they win, they tie for first, but it's better than that. With 2 wins over the Bengals, they would have the head-to-head advantage and would, in essence, be the leader in the AFC North.
What a catch by Hines Ward in traffic.
All at the 44. Where's the defense? Big hole for Parker, and Willie Parker has another first down, and both teams moving the ball with ease.
Well, both of these teams, their offensive lines have really asserted themselves, both in run blocking and pass blocking. Now, this is nothing new for Pittsburgh to do against Cincinnati, but Willie Parker untouched. Look at the size of that hole. You don't see a Cincinnati guy coming into your picture from either side.
58 yards now for Parker rushing to lead the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger with that sore right thumb throws incomplete to Randall L. Almost a lateral. It was a forward pass, ruled incomplete. You know, those of you who are just joining us for this scrap for the lead in the north of the AFC, Ben Roethlisberger, after the game on Monday night, Tuesday, he found his right thumb discolored, great pain, had it x-rayed. There's no admission of a fracture, but he's wearing a splint underneath the gloves. He said he needs the gloves just so he can hold the ball well and get a better grip and a better spin on his passes. You wouldn't know it by his statistics that it's bothering him. 17 for 24 and 271 yards. Couple of touchdowns. Screen it to Parker, but he runs into a stiff hit and a flag down as Justin Smith, the top pick out of Missouri in 2001 of the Bengals, there to make a solid tackle.
Well, they might get Alan Faneca for hitting Carl Powell in the back.
Illegal block in the back, number 66 of the offense. That's a 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
Eagle eye of a Hall of Fame lineman, Dan Deerdorf.
Well, Faneca got caught in a bad spot there because it's such a short screen. Powell, the only way he could get him is to hit him from behind, and the umpire caught it, as he should.
Faneca, great player, 4 times to the Pro Bowl. There's your total yards today. It's hardly been a defensive struggle. In fact, there have been few punts in the game. On 2nd and 20. Big Ben. He skipped that one incomplete. Double pumped in Hines Ward, and you've got to expect, with not able to really use that right thumb fully without a lot of pain, that there are going to be times where his pass isn't on target. Although most of the day he's surprised us all.
Well, you'll see quarterbacks double pump. It set up a double move by a receiver. I don't think that was the case there. Ben really meant to throw that the first time, and for some reason he pulled up at the last second, and fortunately he was able to hold on to the football. A lot of times you'll see a quarterback, the ball just skitters out of his hand after a hold up like that.
Deuce Staley into the backfield with Roethlisberger on 3rd and 20. And it's the screen to Staley. Breaks 1 tackle, but is wrapped up at the 37-yard line. And let's see what Bill Cowher's choice will be now. Odell Thurman, the brilliant rookie out of Georgia, the number 2 draft pick, made that tackle. And it may well be judged out of Jeff Reed's range. Reed and no other NFL kicker in this ballpark in Heinz Field has been able to kick one 50 yards. So Gardocki, the punter, comes in. 31-24, and those of you who have not been with us throughout, Cincinnati with both an interception and a fumble recovery, 2 more takeaways by the team's best, and the turnover differential now at plus 22. Gardocki floats one high, fair catch by Ratliff, lets it bounce surprisingly, and it doesn't go in the end zone. It stays in the field of play. Marvin Lewis's team will have it at the 7-yard line when we return. And they're all here in the Steel City for this crucial early December battle between division rivals Steelers and Bengals, battling for first place, and out come the Bengals at the 7-yard line, leading by a touchdown. Carson Palmer has used a lot of no huddle, of course, with the timeout into the huddle there, but changing his play here. This has been a pattern throughout, and it's increasing as the season has developed for this Bengal team. Rudy Johnson and the defense stout there. Very little gain. Kimo von Oelhoffen, the veteran defensive end, led the charge.
Well, Rudy Johnson has had a busy day today. You can see a couple rushes to the left, not a whole lot going on there, but look at the way he's working it between the tackles. Nearly 70 yards, and that is really where his offensive line has done a good job hammering away at this Pittsburgh defense. I think the Steelers a little surprised as to Rudy's success.
Again, Palmer up under center, then stops, changes the play. Down to 5 seconds on the play clock. Just does get it off. 2nd and 9 into the flat, complete to Reggie Kelly, and the tight end bumped out of bounds by Polamalu.
And that might be the first time you've said Troy Polamalu's name.
It is
all game. Hard to imagine we've done a Steelers game where Polamalu has been as removed from the action as he has been here today. That is his first official tackle of the game. The guy who is everywhere, somehow Cincinnati has been able to go away from him so far this entire game.
Polamalu looking into the backfield now at his former college roommate. He and Carson Palmer were roommates for 2 years with the Trojans of USC. Here comes the blitz. Palmer hit from behind and sacked for the first time today by Clark Higgins.
And that's a classic coverage sack because the blitz was initially picked up by Cincinnati. Pittsburgh came with a blitz. Cincinnati picked it up, but Palmer couldn't find anybody. And there's a sign of maturity. Don't make a foolish throw. Look at the pickup. He has nowhere to go with the football. Don't make a bad throw in the middle of the field. Punt it away.
Only the second punt of the game for Kyle Larson. Antoine Randall at midfield. Larson drives it high. Randall drifts under at the 47 in Pittsburgh territory, and is cut down at the 45 of the Bengals. Well, into December in the NFL, there are a lot of races, some amazing, and we have the #1 amazing race. Just 2 episodes to go before the finish line, and Tuesday, the competition heats up intense on the 3-time Emmy-winning Amazing Race Tuesday on CBS.
In terms of amazing, how about the way this game is playing out as a shootout? Who would have imagined?
31-24, the visiting Bengals in the lead. Willie Parker, they're starting to find running room for Parker. Fumble the ball, and Cincinnati does not get it this time as Alan Faneca, number 66, alertly jumps on that free ball.
Luckily for Willie Parker, that ball bounced directly backwards where there were more black shirts. If that thing bounces the other direction, Cincinnati almost surely would have gotten it. Now Willie Parker makes his cut up field. You can see the ball's getting away from his body, and the hat. Right there's the helmet, right on the football. Right on the football by Odell Thurman. But fortunately, it bounces right back to Faneca.
Going gives up a 1-yard gain. And right back to Parker to the 43, maybe the 42. Bring up 3rd and long. Parker, well, know the story around the country, extremely fast at 4.3, not drafted out of North Carolina, didn't start a game as a senior at Carolina, was overlooked, had only 48 carries in his college career. But Dan Rooney Jr., as a high school coach and scout, saw him and liked him and said to him, someday we're going to make you a Steeler. And he honored that as a free agent. And Parker said, even though other teams were interested in me, I like the way the Steelers kept their promise. So I said, yes, I'm coming here. Roethlisberger pumps, throws, well covered, and intercepted by Deltha O'Neal. He has his 8th of the year. One of the leaders, and now may be the leader in the NFL, and returns to the 43-yard line. Another takeaway by Cincinnati.
Well, that time Ben Roethlisberger, that is the intentional double pump, trying to get Deltha O'Neal peeking into the backfield. But watch what O'Neal does. There's some outside move. He doesn't bite on it at all. He has none of it. He doesn't take one step toward Hines Ward, who gives the move to the outside. But Roethlisberger, he decides to throw it anyway. And that's a mistake by Ben. You get the double pump, you try to set it up, but if the corner doesn't bite, you got to go someplace else with the football.
And O'Neal, 8 interceptions in an all-pro season. 25 now for Cincinnati as a team on the year to lead the NFL. Palmer back, and he lays it up for Chad Johnson. No good at the 10-yard line as the double coverage pays off Ike Taylor and Troy Polamalu. Quickly now we go to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dick, at Indianapolis, Edgerrin James, as usual, providing a nice little balance for Peyton Manning's throwing. James, 2 yards for the touchdown, 23 carries, 97 yards on the day. Indianapolis with a 28-3 lead. Back to you.
Thanks, Greg. And Edgerrin James says, there any back that gets more yards after contact? Palmer, the quick out, is complete to Johnson, and he's bumped out at the 49 on the Cincinnati half of the field, a gain of about 5. Boy, that Greg Gumbel, he's going to need some lozenges. Let's go right back to him.
All right, Dick, thank you. At Cleveland, Jacksonville has trailed the Browns all day long until this. David Garrard, 12 yards to Jimmy Smith, 17 unanswered points for the Jaguars, 20-14 early in the 4th. Dick and Dan.
All right, thank you, Greg. Byron Leftwich injured. David Garrard showing you why Jacksonville has found him to be such a terrific player waiting for his turn.
And they entertain the Colts next week.
3rd and 5, incomplete. Under pressure, Palmer unable to find Houshmandzadeh.
Well, that's because Troy Polamalu was all over T.J. Houshmandzadeh in a legal sense, but no chance of a completion there because of the coverage by 43.
And out comes Kyle Larson. The Bengals save the lead with the interception by Deltha O'Neal, but unable to move the ball forward, so they'll punt it back to Antoine Randall. Booming spiral. That's going to go through the end zone. Touchback to the Steelers at the 20. So here in the 3rd period with just seconds remaining, Steelers back on the field with Ben Roethlisberger trailing 31-24.
You saw Marvin Lewis there being positive with his punter, but you know that's not a positive outcome when you kick it into the end zone and give the ball at the 20-yard line. That's not much of an exchange of field position.
Look, today they're +3. They've taken it away on 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery, but not given it up to the Steelers. +23. That's just extraordinary.
Add their stats.
Roethlisberger under pressure, hits his man over the middle. It's Heath Miller, the rookie tight end, and a first down at the 31-yard line. Brian Simmons, the tackler.
Looked like Ben was initially trying to find Jeremy Tubman to the outside, and when he saw coverage there, he came back to Miller. Ooh, and Ben, look at Ben. Ben shaking his hand again. You got to give this guy a lot of credit. He is playing with a badly injured right thumb, and yet somehow is playing pretty well.
Rudy Johnson. He's in the end zone for the touchdown.
You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Carson Palmer helping us out as we welcome you to the fourth quarter here at Heinz Field, Pittsburgh. Steelers trailing the Bengals 31-24. Crucial game in the AFC North with first place at stake. Parker, they're looking past, fumbles it again. Another turnover, or is it? Who's got the ball? As it goes out of bounds, I believe, and that would keep it in Steelers' hands. And yes, the signal is Pittsburgh will maintain possession.
Big John Thornton, number 97, can't believe it. He can't believe it. He had the football and let it get away. Let's listen to this hit on Parker. But Thornton right there, 97. Oh, he had it in his hands. And what a fortunate break for Willie Parker and the Steelers.
You saw the jut of the jaw from Coward. 2 fumbles now for Willie Parker, and he comes out of the game.
Well, he's fumbled twice in the last 4 carries, I think.
Jerome Bettis, the sure-handed veteran now in the backfield. A fortunate first down for Pittsburgh at the 48. Roethlisberger looking deep downfield. Good coverage. Now dumps it off to Bettis. And Bettis staggers to the 39. A 9-yard gain. More action to New York.
As you know, Dick, defense a big part of the Colts story this year. McNair back to throw. Dwight Freeney sacks him. Larry Triplett picks off the fumble and returns 60 yards for the touchdown. 35-3. The Colts on their way to win number 12. Back to you.
Larry Triplett, he looked like a drum major at the University of Michigan going down the field.
Please.
Bettis with a handoff on 2nd and 1, and he doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage. Good defense from Kevin Casevaharn, the safety from Augustana, South Dakota, to make the stop.
And here comes Deuce Staley into the lineup, and Willie Parker was going to have to do some serious lobbying to get back in this football game. 2 fumbles in critical situations. Fortunately for him and his club, both recovered by the Steelers. But he is in the doghouse, folks. You can't see it around him, but trust me, it's there.
You can hear the yipping.
Yes.
3rd and 3. Roethlisberger with Deuce Staley in the shotgun. And it's Staley on the rough. He fumbles. Oh, my. What's happening, says Cower and these fans in Pittsburgh, as Justin Smith secures the tackle and the boos reign at Heinz Field.
Bill's going, we work on it in practice all week and we don't drop the ball. Why can't we execute this during the game? Perfect lateral there from Ben Roethlisberger right onto the hands of Deuce Staley. Staley not looking at the ball, looking downfield, and doesn't handle it. That's all on 22.
And the Steelers, Cowher, of course, has to rue the fumbles. At least they maintain possession, whereas the Bengals were all around a couple of those. High kick by the veteran Gardocki. Ratliff fair catch at the 23-22-yard line. We're in the fourth quarter, 12-10 to go. Bengals back with the ball and the lead. We're back in Pittsburgh. A reminder, Thursday, America's #1 reality show, Survivor. Well, it's 2 intense challenges. Find out who makes the Final Four. 1 week from tonight, it'll be the $1 million prize to the live season finale winner on CBS, America's #1 network. Palmer to Chris Perry in the flat. Flag down as Perry tackled at the 27 by Troy Polamalu. Well, that's a play that's been open all day, but they've not been able to get the ball to Perry.
Going to have roughing the passer.
Roughing the passer, number 53 defense, hit to the head, to the quarterback. At 15 yards, the end of the run, first down.
You see Clark Higgins comes in and smacks Carson Palmer right in the face mask.
Well, this has not been a good sequence for the Steelers at all, has it?
No, they're making it easy with mistakes like fumbles and now 15-yard penalties. You can't do it. Bernie Kukar, the referee, looking right at it. I know it was hardly a lethal blow, but above the shoulders on a quarterback is not acceptable.
First down at the 42, and once again Palmer changing his call, and the Steeler fans, so knowledgeable, they raise the intensity of their voices. Palmer on the run, throws incomplete. Well covered was Reggie Kelly, as Deshae Townsend was right there.
Again, though, I have to compliment Cincinnati and the way they are picking up and blocking the Pittsburgh blitz. Pittsburgh is bringing pressure, and Cincinnati is picking it up. Take a look over on the right. There comes Hope, and he is picked up by Rudy Johnson. Look how Rudy stays with him. He finally gets a hit on Palmer, but not till after he throws the ball. That was good job in the Pittsburgh secondary that nobody came open.
8 seconds on the play clock. Again, no huddle Palmer. Moves his fullback. Now he's going to run out of time. Has to use one of those precious timeouts.
And he barely got it in.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Sonic. It's not just good, it's Sonic good. Sony. Transform the way you watch football with Sony, the world's greatest high-definition television. And by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers.
And welcome back to the home of the Steelers, and some concerned faces as Cincinnati leading 31-24 with 11:40 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Bengals ball, second down and 10 at their own 42. Carson Palmer continuing on his MVP consideration rampage. Highest rated passer in the league gives it off, however, to Rudy Johnson, who is stacked up after a short game. Casey Hampton led the charge, the big nose tackle that they call Big Snack or Snacks, as his teammate Darren Smith says of Casey Hampton. He's like a vending machine. He's always eating, always feeding.
How about watching Carson Palmer, though? Isn't he like morphing into Peyton Manning? How long he keeps his team at the line of scrimmage and goes through different, calling the plays, setting protections.
These quarterbacks are like opera singers. Lots of gesticulation. This time out of the shotgun, less action. Third and long. Under pressure. Throws it off underneath. The umpire makes the play as Reggie Kelly comes up with the ball. No, incomplete.
Yeah, good job that time by Pittsburgh of only bringing a four-man rush, and they got pressure.
Bill Schuster on the defense, the umpire.
Yeah, only a four-man rush this time by Cincinnati, and they get pressure on Carson Palmer. Clark Hagans is able to peel off the right tackle and come inside, and that is when you're a successful defense, when you can force the quarterback into a bad throw with only your front four.
Larson to punt. Beautiful high spiral. Randall lets it go into the end zone. So the Steelers and Roethlisberger come on the field. They'll have it at the 20-yard line, trailing Cincinnati by 7. We're back. Dick Enberg, Dan Dierdorf, Armand Katan, the Steelers and the Bengals, and it's Pittsburgh's ball at the 20, trailing by 7. Plenty of time left. 10:41 in the fourth. Ben Roethlisberger looking for Hines Ward. Instead goes underneath to the tight end, Heath Miller, and Miller with a first down and an 11-yard gain.
Well, the Steelers just trying to improve on their last possession. There at the very end of the third quarter, Parker fumbles. Alan Faneca recovers. Beginning of the fourth, Parker fumbles again. Again, Alan Faneca comes up with the recovery. Parker gets yanked. In comes Deuce. He fumbles an easy pitch from Roethlisberger, and that was a miserable possession. So already they're off to a better start with that completion to Heath Miller.
And Miller, the tight end, the #1 pick out of Virginia, continues to produce some wonderful catches. And Deuce Staley, they love to crow his first name. And Justin Smith with the tackle. Gain of about 8. Deuce Staley, former Eagle, and an injured Landon Johnson for Cincinnati on the play. Johnson sharing duty at outside linebacker with the rookie David Pollock.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the United States Army, an army of one. And by Bud Light. Smooth and refreshing Bud Light. Great taste, great times.
As the day wears longer, we remind you, second half of our doubleheader coming up on CBS. Most of you will see Denver at Kansas City. Steelers and Cincinnati, a 7-point game. Pittsburgh second and short at their 39. And to Staley it goes, and he powers his way right to the sticks before Case Fajarn from safety makes the tackle. And it's enough for a first down. Now this is remarkable, Dan. With the injury, and very painful it is, and the quarterback Ben Roethlisberger admits he's had some medicine for the pain, some speculation that might even be fractured, and yet this is the second time in his career he's thrown for over 300 yards.
Yeah, go figure. I didn't see it coming. I don't think Ben saw it coming.
No, I don't either. He's very sincere about the pain. Being chased out of the pocket, throws upfield, intercepted. It's Odell Thurman, the rookie, and this ball-hawking middle linebacker has his 5th interception of the season. A linebacker.
A middle linebacker on top of it, and he was all over Hines Ward, the receiver that Ben was trying to throw the football to, and Ben just can't believe he let it go.
Justin Smith applying the pressure, and Roethlisberger.
A classic zone defense. You can see right there that Odell Thurman is looking at Ben all the way, playing the underneath, and the ball comes up a little bit short on its way to Hines Ward, and Ben knew it. He knew it. You don't make that throw against a zone defense with the middle linebacker working his underneath zone.
Odell Thurman, a gregarious sort, a big smile on his face. And we talked to him yesterday. 5 interceptions in the NFL as a rookie. Had only 2 his whole college career. Palmer on top, and it's a great catch by Chad Johnson. Or those are going to say no catch. He didn't maintain control as he hit the turf.
Once upon a time, that might have been a catch, but not in today's NFL. What an effort by Chad Johnson. Going up, he's got it, but when he hits the ground, the ball's loose. You must hit the ground in today's National Football League and maintain possession of the football. That's a good call by the official. That's a non-catch.
Chad Johnson, who promised Arma Kateyan he had something special cooked up should he score a touchdown here in the Steel City. He'd like to iron out some things. Rudy Johnson picking his way. Takes the hit at the 45 and drives to the 43. Chris Hope up to make the stop. Rudy Johnson complimenting the passing game of Carson Palmer.
And Dick, this is such a stage of the game where Cincinnati tries to exercise the demons. All the years of futility playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Never good enough. Not in the last 15 years to measure up to Pittsburgh. They're on the brink. They're on the brink of trying to make a statement. Can they finish?
Back to the Boomer days to find a winning team in Cincinnati. 15 years. If they win today, they'll assure themselves a winning record. Here's the third down pass. It is caught, and out of bounds goes Chris Henry, the rookie from West Virginia, with a first down.
Excellent route and excellent throw from Carson Palmer. Again, working with his rookie against rookie. Henry against McFadden. McFadden playing a little deep, giving way too much ground underneath, and working the sticks very effectively. Chris Henry.
5 catches for Henry today. 3 in the first possession by Cincinnati. And what a bullet thrown by Carson Palmer right into the hands of Henry on that out. Down the middle. Caught by Hushmanzada. And Houshmandzadeh, who had 2 touchdown receptions in the opening half, a long ball, and then a short one over the middle, comes up with another first down play.
And again, I'm so impressed with Houshmandzadeh's ability to catch balls in the middle of the field. He knows there are safeties in there. He knows he's in the midst of a lot of traffic. Deshae Townsend just a step behind. But this guy has a lot of confidence in the middle of the field. The guy is not afraid of taking a hit.
Played high school football in Barstow, California. Those of you who have made that trip through the Mojave Desert knows they can get up to 115, 120 during the day when he would practice. A little cooler today as Rudy Johnson is straightened and still able to surge forward on second effort inside the 15.
What a hit. Rudy goes backwards initially. I think Casey Hampton stands him up, but then again, look at the way Rudy Johnson finishes runs. Dick, how many times do you see him driven back? Never. The guy ends up going forward.
He's looking for a possible 100-yard game as we see the 13 of 16 touchdowns for Cincinnati in the red zone.
Their last 16 trips. That is most impressive.
3 of 4 today. Rudy Johnson 13 yards away from the century mark. Rare to do against Pittsburgh. Here he goes on the outside at the 10, the 5. He is in the end zone. Another touchdown for Rudy Johnson and the Bengals.
They ran right at the Steeler blitz. Chris Hope comes on the blitz right at the play, and Johnson ducks right inside of him. Dick LeBeau must be thinking, what do I have to do? Look on the left. There comes Hope, and he's untouched, and Rudy Johnson gets right inside of him and ends up getting past the tackle of Polamalu into the end zone for a touchdown. You'd think that's a perfect call by Dick LeBeau, and yet Cincinnati beats it for a score.
Now the try for point. Shane Graham. And it's 38-24 as Rudy Johnson goes over the 100-yard mark with that 14-yard touchdown run.
All right, let's look at the right side of the line. But watch Hope coming off the corner there. He's untouched, but he goes so wide that he's not able to fall back in onside on Rudy. Now, how many times downfield do you see a block? What's T.J. Houshmandzadeh doing? He takes Deshae Townsend out of the play.
And how about Johnson warding off the hit by Polamalu to dive into the end zone?
Well, by gosh, Dick, let's look at that right now. Here comes Polamalu from the right. Instead of wrapping up, he tries to take Rudy's legs out from under him. He's unsuccessful. Wow, that was a lot of good things by the Cincinnati offense. And you would think a touchdown against a defensive call by Dick LeBeau that shouldn't have worked like that.
Yeah.
That could have been a run for a loss.
And Marvin Lewis's young team may be maturing into a very serious playoff threat in front of our very eyes as Ben Roethlisberger looks on. You know, Marvin Lewis said, learning from Bill Cowher, his first head coach when he came here as a 33-year-old assistant linebacker, he said Bill had a sign on his wall that said, "They don't care that you know until they know that you care." And he said, that's what I'm trying to use with my young players. Let them know how much I do care about them. Quincy Morgan. And he's back to the 28-yard line. Harmon?
Dick, just to follow up on what you said, Marvin went about building relationships with veterans like John Kitna, his quarterback, and Brian Simmons, his linebacker. And it's grown into this new sense of trust and brotherhood on this Bengal team. And the other thing he did, he cleaned house. There's only 13 players remaining on this roster of that 53 when he took over in 2003.
That's a good point, Armin. It goes 8-8 his first year, again 8-8 last season. And it's been a long, hard time for the fans of the Bengals. 15 years since a playoff or even a winning team.
But I guarantee you that Pittsburgh thinks they can still win this game.
I feared that the Bengals were offside. Justin Smith on the left side. The pass complete to Randall L. And now Bernie Kukar with the call.
Offside, 90 defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And Justin Smith trying to get the early jump. They'll mark it out to the 33-yard line, 1st and 5. Now the clock becomes an issue. Steelers have all 3 timeouts looking ahead and less than 6 minutes to go. We welcome those of you joining us here at Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, where the Cincinnati Bengals, leading by a game in the AFC North, have a 2-touchdown lead. We're in the final 5.5 minutes as Cedric Wilson with a catch from Ben Roethlisberger and a first down at the Steeler 45-yard line. But Pittsburgh needs 2 touchdowns to tie, and they're working against the clock, and a Bengal defense that has forced 4 turnovers, as Marvin Lewis's team now is a plus 24 on the season in that turnover differential.
And in the history of this series, it's been Pittsburgh running the ball. Today they have moved the ball primarily with Ben Roethlisberger's passing.
And he's doing it with a wounded thumb, wearing a splint under those gloves. Another solid throw to Wilson, and a first down into Cincinnati territory. Case Verhan and others make the tackle at the 49.
And here go the Steelers with a no huddle. They try to hurry things up, and justifiably so.
They mark it at the 48, the first down. Clock runs. You see there, Steelers have all 3 timeouts to use. Another short pass underneath to Randall L. He can't get to the sidelines, but he has another first down to the 29 before Brian Simmons can chase him down. Carson Palmer coolly watching the action. Look at his 103.9. This young guy, only 3 years out of the University of Southern California, has had 100 rating passing in 14 of the past 15 games. Roethlisberger double clutches, almost deflected for another interception as Wilson has it pop free. Stops the clock, 4:17 to go.
Well, looking at the way this drive got started, Carson Palmer and his offensive teammates, this game's not over for them. They're not going to be in a position, I think, where next time they get the ball, they can afford a 3 and out and give the ball back to Pittsburgh. This has been a very efficient drive so far by Pittsburgh. Of course, they don't have any margin for error left. Not down 2.
Playing admittedly with a very, very sore thumb. That's an understatement. He's 24 for 35, Roethlisberger, 345 yards and 2 scores. Throws this one complete to Randall L. He's to the 20. That'll be close to a first down. I believe a half-yard short. Robert Gathers, the defensive end, makes the tackle, and the clock ticks down to the 4-minute mark. And Rudy Johnson, 100 yards. Tough to do against the Steeler defense. They've gone 24 games in a row without allowing a 100-yard rusher until Edgerrin James on Monday night. He's got 100 today. He's ready to ride all the way back to the Queen City. They still don't use a timeout. 3:40 left. First down, Roethlisberger. Scrambling, throwing, complete to Randall L. And he'll get out of bounds to stop the clock with 3:28 to go.
Oh, that was good work there by Ben Roethlisberger. First of all, it started up front. His line gives him really good protection. But Ben looks at every eligible receiver playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Only a 3-man rush by Cincinnati. They don't get much of it going. And Ben surveys everybody on that field before he finally dumps it off to Randall L. That was nice.
It's brow raising. Here's Ben Roethlisberger for Cowher, playing with a wounded thumb, and he's just set a career high passing 363 yards.
But it's really marred by those 3 interceptions.
First down and goal at the 9. The throw is incomplete and almost through to Deltha O'Neal, who has his 8th pick of the season. Might well be the leader in interceptions in the league when they're posted tomorrow or Monday morning. Third down 1, just inside the 10.
That's Chuck Bresnahan there on the left. The defensive coordinator for Cincinnati trying to get his guys to make a stand.
Triple right. And the handoff inside is going to work to Parker. And Parker's down to the 6-yard line. Parker was benched briefly by Cowher after fumbles in the same possession. And the crowd urging the Steelers to hurry up as the clock ticks close to the 3-minute mark.
And And again, they have all of their timeouts remaining, but they're wise to save them.
First and goal. Roethlisberger to the end zone. Touchdown! Hines Ward has his second of the day.
And another razor-sharp pass by Ben Roethlisberger. That left a vapor trail on its way into the end zone to Hines Ward. Wow. And the Steelers right back in this thing. Inside in the slot is Hines Ward. He just makes the cut to the inside. Cincinnati's slow to react, but look at the quality of that throw. Whoop! Right in there to Hines Ward.
The only time Roethlisberger in trouble when he's tried to air it out, throw the long ball, and then the passes have died. But those 15-yarders or less have been bullets.
Now Bill Cowher's got to go onside kick, or with all three of my timeouts left and the 2-minute warning, do I kick it away?
An interesting decision as we review this high-scoring battle for first place in Pittsburgh. Jerome Bettis, the bus, got the Steelers on the board early, 7-0 at 1 yard. Bushmanzada fighting off the defense, a long bomb. Quincy Morgan answers with a physical catch and run. But right back comes Carson Palmer and Reggie Kelly with a touchdown. Here's one of the 3 interceptions by Brian Simmons that led to Bushmanzada's second touchdown. A short play, 21-14. Hines Ward skidding in to tie the game at 24. This is Tab Perry, the rookie from UCLA, a 94-yard kickoff return that set up Rudy Johnson, one of his 2 touchdowns. Out of breath, here's more. Another interception by Thurman, and Johnson with this quick move and a score to be answered by Hines Ward on the touchdown you just saw. It's been a scoring fest here at Heinz Field.
If you could see me, I am applauding that effort. Not the one on the field, the one you just turned in.
Did I get anything in?
Oh.
What a game. And here's the onside kick. And, of course, Cowher and his team are well trained for this. They tried it at the start of the first half Monday night. It didn't work. And now they back off.
You know, every instinct Bill Cowher has is to kick it deep and rely on his defense to get the ball back. But you know that confidence in your defense is shaken by the 38 points scored by Cincinnati.
And can he even stop Tab Perry, who's had one good return after another? Here he comes. Finally, they corral him shy of the 25-yard line. 3 timeouts left for the Steelers. And stay with us. Second half of our CBS doubleheader and a good one in Kansas City in the AFC West. It'll be the Broncos at 7-4 or at 9-2 against Kansas City 7-4. The Jets in New England, and New England though 6-5 with a 2-game lead in the AFC East. And now the terrible towels. The yellows are flying here at Heinz Field. Well, as the defense must hold to give Pittsburgh hope.
If you want to be king, you have to depose the king. That's what Cincinnati's facing right now.
First down at the 23 for Carson Palmer, who again uses the hand signals, maybe changing the play. Unafraid, they go out with a pass and almost intercepted, deflected right into the face mask of Chad Johnson as Troy Polamalu was close to picking that one off.
A real quiet first 3 quarters of this game for this all-pro safety of the Steelers. But boy, does he pick his time to get his fingernails on that pass. And how about the confidence by Cincinnati, Dick, of coming right out here, not burning the clock, but going to the air.
And throwing a dangerous pass, double coverage on Johnson. Now Rudy Johnson hit in the backfield. Larry Foote, the middle backer from Michigan, makes the stop.
Well, this play had no place to go. Completely disrupted at the line of scrimmage. You can see the Steelers all the way upfield. Larry Foote took the way gap. Nobody there to pick him up, and Rudy Johnson had no chance whatsoever.
And the Steelers used the first of their 3 timeouts here in the second half, with 3rd and long now facing Cincinnati at their own 20-yard line.
Boy, they'll be talking about Bob Bratkowski, the offensive coordinator for Cincinnati, And on first down, his going to the air. Now, of course, when you have the NFL's leading passer, you know, you have the liberty of making calls like that, but certainly flies in the face of conventional football wisdom.
They don't get the national publicity, the Bengals, but Carson Palmer, you know, as you said it, the leading passer in the league. A lot of folks around the country don't realize the numbers this young man has put up. Nearly 70% completion. He leads the league in touchdowns. 3 today. He has 26 touchdown throws on the season. And we welcome fans to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, where their terrible towels are flying for the Steeler defense. Pittsburgh trailing by 7 with 2 minutes, 43 seconds to go. Carson Palmer and the Bengals on 3rd and long. Throws underneath, complete. To Chris Perry, and a flag is down, and it's down where Palmer threw the ball. It may be for holding in the backfield, however, as it was tossed at one of the big linemen. This is a big penalty call.
Well, Pittsburgh's acting like this is going against Cincinnati, yeah, and it is. Well, Bill Cowher's decision to kick off instead of the onside kick was the right one.
They're going to decline the penalty, apparently, as the gesture from Kukar. Looked a little testy there. Maybe not. Maybe they'll push him back.
Holding, 76 offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
76 is Levi Jones, the big left tackle.
Yep, Levi Jones, watch your, or he's at the top of your screen working on the left-hand side against Kimo von Oelhoffen. He gets trampled by von Oelhoffen, but called for pulling him down. That's a doubly embarrassing play there.
Ever dangerous in the open field, Antoine Randall. He has a punt return for a touchdown earlier this year. And Kyle Larson to kick it. And no play.
You know, how about Bill Cowher, though? He only had to use
59 offense.
And a false start pushes Cincinnati back farther. Here in Pittsburgh, the Cincinnati Bengals in first place by a game over the Steelers, trying to take that top spot and go home 2 games in front. Had a 14-point lead, but the Steelers have driven down for a quick touchdown on a Roethlisberger to Heinz Ward touchdown pass. They've held the Bengals and now have pushed them back on a couple of penalties, and Kyle Larson has to punt it with Antoine Randall, ever dangerous, standing at about the 40-yard line.
Well, look at this, Dick. Cincinnati had a possession, ran 3 plays. They burned 22 seconds, and Pittsburgh only had to use 1 timeout. Bill Cowher has to be pinching himself that he still has 2 of his timeouts remaining.
Plus
and the 2-minute warning, that's right.
10 men up on the line of scrimmage. Larson gets a good kick away. Randall at the 35 with a flag down. And another flag as he's tackled at the 47-yard line. Tab Perry, another special teams play for the Bengals. And a couple of fellas wanted to chat about the playoffs after the whistle. And they are separated.
Holding, number 23 of the receiving team during the kick will enforce the penalty for more possession change. 10 yards, 1st down.
That amounts to about a 20-yard penalty because it denies the return by Randall as Tyrone Carter whistled for the foul. Well, Ben Roethlisberger, those of you who are repeating ourselves for you fans who have been with us from the start, but Roethlisberger came home from the game on Monday night with a badly injured thumb, x-rayed. He's wearing a splint under the gloves to give him more grip. He's under, admittedly, high pain. He's taken some medicine for it, and yet he's thrown for a record 369 yards today. 3 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. They start from the 23, trailing by 7. The throw is complete to the 30 to Heinz Ward. Ever dependable receiver, although he did drop a possible touchdown at the end of the first half.
Dick, it's remarkable that Pittsburgh is even in this situation with an attempt to tie the game, given the fact they're getting killed in the turnover battle.
4-0, the Bengals.
How can they even be competitive?
There's a false start against the Steelers.
How can you be -4 in the turnover differential in a game and still have a chance to tie it this late in the game?
Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
So 1 second away from the 2-minute timeout as Big Mac starts. The second-year tackle from Florida. His dad was a Cincinnati Bengal for some 9 years. Remember Ross Browner, All-America player out of Southern California. He was a #1 pick, in fact, by the Bengals. From the 25, Roethlisberger with his 3 wide receivers right and 1 split left. Steps away from pressure. Throws on the run, complete. And it's a first down. A flag is down. Back at the 20. Cedric Wilson a catch. And let's check the penalty. And they're going to bring it back. Bernie Kukar not looking for a lift home. He indicating with the thumb that's against Bill Cowher's Steelers.
How many mistakes can his team make?
79 offense. 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
Well, that's on Trey Essex, the rookie left tackle, filling in for Marvin Smith.
7 points to a tie for the Steelers. Into December in frosty Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The push toward the playoffs, and these two teams both with eyes on postseason play, and the surprising Cincinnati Bengals have a 7-point advantage with 1:54 left. Roethlisberger faces 2nd and 19 from his own 15.
But 85 yards to go for a touchdown.
And 2 timeouts left for the Steelers. Roethlisberger has to recheck. Now scrambling. Wrapped at the 9-yard line. Couldn't get it away. David Pollock, the #1 draft pick out of Georgia. Of these young Cincinnati Bengals, able to make the play.
And again, Ben just could not find anybody open downfield. This Cincinnati defense picked a pretty good time to throw a blanket over every Steeler receiver.
3rd down, and
what we've seen a lot. What we've seen a lot during this game is Roethlisberger moving around and finding somebody open. But today he wasn't able to. There's Hines Ward as he's trying to find an opening. Look how he's covered. Here's Quincy Morgan on the other side. He's trying to get away from Deltha O'Neal. Ben can't find him. But today, Ben has moved around a lot. He's done this repeatedly and dumped it off very effectively. But that time, Pollock able to reverse himself, make a pretty athletic move and dragging Big Ben down.
With the loss back to the 10-yard line, 3rd and 24, plus they had to eat another timeout, 1 remaining for Pittsburgh. Against a team, the Bengals, trying to shake the ghosts of past. They're 3 and 23 in December since the 90 season, the last time they had a winning record. Roethlisberger looking deep and then has to dump underneath to Willie Parker. The speed for the Steelers, but he's hit at the 20-yard line by Landon Johnson, and that brings up a 4th down for Cowher in Pittsburgh. And the time called. We presume the final timeout by the Steelers. That's correct.
And so much riding on this for Pittsburgh. A loss here will drop them to 7 and 5. And Dick, the playoffs, a real struggle from 7 and 5. Not an impossibility by a stretch of the imagination, but a real uphill climb for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
See, if Cincinnati should win, they go 9 and 3, a 2-game advantage, and the last 4 on the schedule, they'll probably be favored in all 4 games. Most of those teams with losing records. So 7 and 5 for the Steelers would be a mountain to climb.
Well, they just would be in a position where they'd really have just no margin for error left.
All right, here on 4th down, Roethlisberger needs a play that'll get Pittsburgh beyond the 35-yard line and a first down. There you see Bengals, Cleveland, Detroit, Buffalo, at Kansas City remaining. Steelers a bit tougher, including the Bears here at home next week.
Yeah, and that game at the beginning of the year looked like pretty much of a breather.
35-yard line's the line for Roethlisberger. Hit from behind by the jersey, throws it away, intercept. No, they're going to rule the ball dead.
Bernie ruled him down.
He ruled him in the grasp, and it would have been a score and another turnover as Landon Johnson takes it into the end zone, but it matters not. The Marvin Lewis-led Cincinnati Bengals have the ball with 1:23 left. Steelers no timeouts. Academic now, a couple of kneel downs. And Cincinnati will go home well in charge of the AFC North.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers, with 3 consecutive losses now, really have to do some soul searching as to what has gone wrong after a 7-2 start to the season.
Losses to Baltimore in overtime, 16-13, then the Monday night defeat by the unbeaten Indianapolis Colts, and now the Cincinnati Bengals. As this young team perhaps finding maturation before our eyes. Your favorite Bootsy Collins, the funk legend, Dan Dierdorf, has written that song Feared the Tiger. They're going to be singing Feared the Tiger on their way back to Bengal country.
Am I really hearing this?
Bootsy, remember we were talking about it in the car coming over.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great to have you back, Dad.
Oh, thank you, Dick. And just congratulations. It's fun to see every now and then somebody come up, and that is what the Cincinnati Bengals have done right now. That last year with a 15-1 regular season.
What a
you know you can't go anywhere until you can compete with them, and that's what Cincinnati did here today.
And we saw a shot of Roethlisberger. What a gallant effort by this young man. His toughness to even play. A lot of quarterbacks would have said my season's over with that injury to the thumb. He passes for 386 yards today, but it'll be in defeat.
And Cincinnati guaranteed of that first winning season since 1990. That's a bit of a dry spell.
15 years they've waited, and Marvin Lewis takes home a winner from Pittsburgh, the 9th win of the year and a 2-game lead in the AFC North with an outstanding game, 38-31, all offense in Pittsburgh today. Coming up next, it'll be the Broncos and the Chiefs, or the Jets and Patriots. Check your local listings. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.